Well, good evening, good evening. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another live Carolina Panthers talk brought to you by Blitzball Champ Gaming here on the U to the Tube. I'm your host, Blitzball Champ Jason Ingram. It is Thursday, March 23rd, 2023. Hope everybody's been having a good week so far. Weekend's almost here. No folks are excited about that. I know I am. But wanted to get on here for a little bit. Wanted to cover a couple of things. So there were some more signings that the Carolina Panthers did, not only just players, but also coaching staff, apparently. They've added some more experience to the coaching staff. And also going to talk about quarterbacks C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young, who had their pro days, who did some throwing, did some interviews and stuff like that. Got to showcase their throwing abilities. So we're going to talk about that. Good evening, Jeff R. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. But before we get started, once again, be sure to check out the link to Game Beauty in the description for an awesome lineup of video game themed makeup and cosmetic products. If you see something that tickles your fancy and you want to make a purchase, be sure to use the promo code BlitzballChamp, all in caps, and you can get 10% off of your order. So be sure to use that promo. Nice little discount there. Okay, so a couple of Carolina Panthers moves that took place. First off, they have brought back defensive end Henry Anderson. Of course, played with the team last season. They actually brought him back this past Tuesday. They made it happen this past Tuesday. This will be his 9th season. He played 11 games last season, got 18 tackles and 3 tackles for loss. If anything, more depth at the D-line, especially with them transitioning to a 3-4 defense. So, hey, I'm cool with it. You know, hopefully he'll do some damage. But definitely a depth piece. Let's see. Super Trevo, welcome to the stream. Hey, sup, Jason? So you think it's more likely Panthers are drafting C.J. Stroud after yesterday, or you think it's possible Bryce Young also? It's hard to say. They both look great. So it's really hard to say. David Screws, welcome to the stream. Joe Valesco, welcome to the stream. C.J. looks like a wizard. I want Stroud. His pro day was amazing. Yeah, definitely was amazing. But so was Bryce Young's. We'll get into it, but it's I don't know, y'all. It's hard for me to pick one over the other, just to keep it real with you. But yeah, we'll get into that. We'll definitely get into that in a moment. But yeah. 18 total tackles, 9 assists, 9 solo for Mr. Anderson. No sacks, but it'll be interesting to see how he does in the 3-4. So we'll see how that goes. But he is back. They have also brought in offensive lineman Justin McCray, 30 years old, who apparently played for James Campen back in Green Bay, Cleveland, and Houston. Wow. So familiarity there. And not only that, he's an experienced backup. So the word is this signing is to provide depth and a quality backup just in case Austin Corbett cannot start week 1. Because remember, Austin Corbett is rehabbing from a torn ACL. So he was an undrafted free agent from Central Florida. 29 career starts in 76 games with the Packers, Texans, Falcons all together. So a lot of experience there. So definitely, it's a good insurance. It's great. It's a great insurance signing. So, hey, and not to mention, being that we still have James Camp in familiar territory, I think it's a good signing. This next one, I was kind of shocked about. This next one. So, we're bringing back Eddy Pineiro. I thought we were keeping Zane Gonzalez, being that he still had one more year left. But I guess they had a change of heart, and the word is that they will be releasing Zane Gonzalez. So, yeah. 2-year deal for Eddy Pineiro. Now, don't get me wrong. Eddy Pineiro, after the meltdown in the first Falcons meeting, he didn't miss another kick. So, finished the year with 94.3% field goal percentage, 33 of 35. And he was 93.8% on extra points, 30 of 32. So, I mean, yeah. It's kind of a bummer. But groin injury, I guess Zane hadn't been able to recover from. I thought there was word that he recovered from it, but it just sucks because Zane was automatic for us, Like, but I mean, you can't be too mad with Eddy Pineiro. I mean, he didn't miss another kick after that Falcons game. So I mean, it is what it is. Welcome back, Eddy Pineiro. He had a strong finish last season, and I think he's a kicker that we can rely on. I think he got it together after the Falcons game, and you know what? I'm cool with it. I'm going to miss Zane, though. I am going to miss Zane because Zane was really good for us. Okay, let me get caught up in the chat. David says, Bryce just didn't feel exciting to me. When I watched him, plus he hit the ceiling. C.J. had more prettier balls and more throws than Bryce. It's easy for... Now, I felt like some of those deep balls that C.J. threw, the receiver had to slow down. So I don't know if that was on the receiver or on C.J., but some of those deep balls, the receiver had to slow down. I did notice on some of those deep balls. So just food for thought. We got 29 million cap space now. Correct. David says, not saying Bryce is bad, but I think CJ is special. Well, I mean, CJ's special, but I mean, how is Bryce not special? I mean, if any, and the reason why I say that is because it seems like the main issue that folks are saying is his weight. That's really the main issue that they're saying about Bryce Young is his weight. But we have to also remember, this is somebody that won national championship and also Heisman Trophy winner. So, I mean, we can't leave that out. We can't leave that out. Let's see. Super Trebo says, hey, Jason, I know this is off topic, but I still haven't beat Crisis Core. had the game since Christmas, made it to the end of the game January, and still can't beat the final boss. I don't know what to do. Dude, I have told you before dozens of times, send me your stats. Like, I can't help you unless you send me your stats and your equipment. I told you that a couple of times before when you asked me before. If you go back to any of my live streams with that game, just put a comment of your stats and what your equipment is. Maybe I can help you alter some things, but I can't help you unless you tell me. You have to share that stuff with me. Otherwise, I can't help you, Super Trebo. So let me know what your stats, what's your level, and what's your equipment setup look like. And then maybe I can better help. But you have to also remember, you're way further ahead than me. You're way further ahead than me. So keep that in mind. Okay. Jeff R says, I think Zane is still injured from that groin. Yeah, I thought there was a word that he had recovered, but you may be right, Jeff R. You may be right. David says, getting injured on the practice kick on the sidelines is embarrassing. I mean, but it can happen to anybody. It can happen to anybody. And if you ask me, at least it was a kick and not on a celebration like Mr. Grammatica. I'm just saying. Not as embarrassing as getting injured during a celebration. Big difference. David says, I was hearing by reporters it was the best pro day they have seen in 20 years for CJ's performance. Just saying. And, I'm not taking anything away from that. I'm definitely not taking anything away from that. But there were things there that stood out with him, just like with Bryce Young. I like them both, David. I really don't. Right now, I really don't see how one is going to be less successful than the other. Like, just based on what they've showed. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. Like, I don't know. What does everybody else think? Because personally, I don't really see anything specific that stood out for one versus the other. Just comparing those two. I know they're, I think coming up, they're going to have the pro day for Will Levis, I think in a couple of days or so over in Kentucky. So I have to check that out, but yeah. Ernest Capu says OBJ to the Carolina Panthers. I don't know about that. I mean, hasn't really been on the radar. I know he's worked out for them, but I don't think he's going to get signed. If anything, it'll probably be the Jets. Joe Valesco says, I want DeAndre Hopkins to Carolina. One of the things that I think was said, actually, there was a Twitter post about DeAndre Hopkins. Let me see. Let me see. There was a particular post. So according to Pac-Man Jones, the Bills, Patriots, Ravens, Raiders, and Falcons are the 5 teams in on wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. Another report from Doug Clayman was saying the Cardinals will not be able to get their initial asking price of a second-round pick and another asset. He thinks it will be closer to the Cowboys' Brandon Cooks trade of 5th and 6th round picks. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think we're in the running. I don't think we're in the running for DeAndre Hopkins, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, part of me feels like he's either gonna go to the Chiefs or somewhere in the AFC, if you ask me. But I don't know. Super Tribo says, sorry, we'll do Jason. I will send you stats in the YouTube message. So if a rookie quarterback and a new Panthers coach, do you think there's still chance to win the division, or will it be hard with a new coach? Well, I mean, you have to remember, when Frank Wright started in Indy, went to the playoffs his first year. So, I mean, it's not impossible to win the division. It's not impossible. It's very possible. I mean, new coaching staff, high-level coaching staff, speaking of which, the coaching staff, the folks that they picked up, defensive quality control coach Bobby Maffei, offensive assistants Mike Bercovici and Jamel Mutunga, defensive assistant Mayur Chaudhari, and offensive quality control assistant to the head coach Tyler Boyles. Those are the recent names that were picked up and added to the coaching staff. Ernest Capu, DJ Chark, Carolina Panthers. I did hear that is a possibility, that supposedly the word is Carolina wanted to get both Adam Thielen and DJ Chark. So that is a possibility. David Screws says OBJ would be a nuisance in the locker room. True. But he does have something that we don't have, David Screws. And that's a championship. That's really the only argument that I could throw in there. But, I mean, he has something that we don't have. It's kind of a bummer, too, because, I mean, the dude is a great wide receiver. I mean, he's proven that he's a great wide receiver. The whole thing is just that, I mean, the whole thing is just he can be kind of a drama queen, which is not a good look. It's not a good look. But I mean, I don't know. Some say he matured after he got to the Rams. I mean, had to have done something right for them to go all the way and win the Super Bowl. That's all I know. I mean, I know he didn't finish the game. He was able to get a touchdown in there, but I mean, David says, I understand that 100%, but our rookie quarterback doesn't need a me person, which is fair. But I mean, he would be a weapon. I will say that. Now, it remains to be seen how effective he would be now, being that he hasn't played in a whole season. But some would argue that he could still be a weapon. I don't know. But can't deny how OBJ has done over his career. Super Trebo says, what do you think of Cam throwing at Pro Day, Jason, and saying there's 32 not better than him? LOL, think he can get back in the NFL? I mean, I hope he does. I think he could come in and still bring something to the table. It's just not going to be with us. But no, I definitely believe he still has something left in the tank, for sure. I mean, the dude ain't injured. So, I mean, hey, if anything, I think he's got something left in the tank. I think it just comes down to what team could he fit with? What team will give him that chance? Remains to be seen. But I definitely wish him the best. I hope somebody picks him up. It just won't be Carolina. So a little bit of background on the coaches picked up. So Bobby Maffei, the defensive quality control coach, apparently is a holdover from last year's staff. And he ended up coaching the safeties by the end of the year as the other assistants left. Offensive assistant Mike Bercovici is a former Arizona State quarterback who spent time in camp with the Cardinals and Chargers. He also played in the AAF for the San Diego Fleet. And he spent the last 3 seasons coaching on the Cardinals coaching staff. Offensive assistant Jamel Mutunga is a former college running back at Gettysburg, and he spent last year as an offensive assistant with the Colts. Oh, okay. Interesting. Defensive assistant Mayur Chaudhari was an assistant special teams coach with the Falcons and Chargers for 4 seasons and has coached at a handful of different colleges, including Lenoir Rhyne and Hickory, North Carolina. He was also at UC Davis with Panthers defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero. Oh, so that's pretty cool. And then offensive quality control assistant Tyler Boyles spent the last 3 years with the Colts, 2 as the assistant to head coach for Frank Reich, and last year as the manager of coaching operations. Oh, so even some chemistry there with head coach Frank Reich. Hey, that's cool. So adding some more firepower to the Carolina Panthers coaching staff. Now, let's get back into these pro days. Now, like I said, based from what I've seen, it's hard to pick one between C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young, one that stands out more than the other, because I think they both look solid. Now, of course, David and Nicole Tepper are going to continue to evaluate. And apparently, okay, so Will Levis's pro day will be on Friday. So that'll be tomorrow. And then Anthony Richardson's pro day will be on March 30th. So Anthony Richardson's next week. Will Levis is tomorrow. So still a lot to see. And technically, Carolina hasn't ruled out Levis or Richardson. Officially, they have not ruled either of those two out. Now, I don't know. I think me personally, I think it's going to come down between Stroud and Young, but I am curious to see Anthony Richardson's and Will Levis's pro days. I'm curious to see. I'm actually curious to see. We may end up being surprised. I'm just saying. It's not impossible. Nick Saban, of course, praised Bryce Young. But like I said, the word is that the negatives that stand out for Young are his height and his weight. But throws were great. Footwork, great. Release, great. Like I said, I know CJ's bigger, 6'3". But like I said, it definitely looked like a few of those deep balls the wide receiver had to slow down to catch. I don't know if that was on the wide receiver or if that was on CJ, but there were a few of those deep balls where the wide receiver had to slow down to catch. At the last moment, had to slow down. So that's my only thing with that. And then they have some interesting QBR ranks with the last two seasons. Both Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud ranked in the top 10 in several QBR categories among 77 qualifying Power 5 quarterbacks. The only other 5 quarterback to rank top 10 in all those areas was Caleb Williams, who was last season's Heisman Trophy winner. So you look at these rankings, these Power 5 QBR rankings versus the zone. Bryce Young's ranked second. C.J. Stroud is ranked third. Versus man, Young is ranked 10th. Stroud is ranked first. On third downs, Young is ranked third. Stroud is ranked fifth. Against pressure, Young is ranked third. Stroud is ranked fourth. And overall, Young is ranked fourth. Stroud is ranked first. So, interesting comparisons there. Hey, Austin Jug, welcome to the stream. I am doing well. Hope you are as well. But I think, for the most part, it sounds like a lot of folks' favorite is C.J. Stroud. Just from what I've been hearing on here and across social media, it sounds like C.J. Stroud is everybody's favorite. Let's see. Ernest Capu says, Adam Thielen, Panthers could win a Super Bowl. Whoa, you're jumping the gun. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're starting fresh. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. How about we make it to the playoffs first? How about we make it to the playoffs first? Something we haven't done since 2017. Let's see. David says, I hate that Hardman is off the board. Yeah, that is true. And apparently, Ezekiel Elliott is eyeing the Eagles, Jets, Bengals. Oof, interesting. The Buccaneers released their kicker, Ryan Suckup. Uh-oh. Buccaneers, who knows? Buccaneers might try to go after Zane. It might get Zane Gonzalez. Maybe that's who the Bucs may end up getting. But we'll see. Austin says, I'm doing well, thank you. Good. David says, Aaron Rodgers is going to get killed with that Jets O-line. Well, now that you think about it, didn't Zach Wilson get, like, destroyed? Let me see something. Dang. Got sacked 67 times with the Jets. Well, I thought their O-line improved. Or I must be missing something. I thought originally their O-line improved. Oh, actually, nah. Because wasn't Mekhi Becton struggling with injury? And wasn't Elijah Vera Tucker as well? Because I thought they had a killer offensive line. I thought. But I must have missed something. Austin says, is Aaron Rodgers not with the Packers anymore? Not officially. It still hasn't happened yet. He is still a Packer. It has not happened officially. He wants to play with the Jets. Aaron Rodgers wants to play with the Jets. But it's going to take quite a bit. And the Packers want some stuff. And they're, going to have to work out a trade. But Packers, they want some stuff. So we'll see what happens, but Green Bay, I think they want a first round pick and then some. Or actually, Packers are thinking a first round pick and then some, but there are NFL teams that are thinking that he's a day 2 pick this year with a conditional pick or 2 on the back end. Ooh, interesting. Austin says, if I was Aaron Rodgers, I will pray for LA. It's closer to his hometown. Oh, the LA Chargers? I don't know. Are we talking Austin, were you talking about the Chargers or the Rams? Because he's definitely not wouldn't want to go to the Chargers. Chargers have Justin Herbert. There's no point for him to go to the Chargers. And the Rams, highly doubt it. But yeah, like David said, he wants to go to the Jets. Yeah, apparently he's been wanting to go to the Jets. The LA Rams, well, I mean, they still technically have Matthew Stafford. So, I mean, yeah, I can't see it, Austin. The Rams, I can't see it. Would have quite the weapons, though, but I can't see it. Not to mention they've lost some folks. So, yeah, I can't see it. They also, but going back to the quarterback pro days, I what I really liked about both C.J. and Bryce, they looked like they were confident in their throws. What I'm really wondering about is how would they look in a collapsed pocket. That's something that I'm really, really going to be keeping my eye on, because we have to remember, we had a lot of batted balls down at the line of scrimmage and such last season. So I'm really going to be concentrating on pocket presence with these quarterbacks. And even with the one that we end up picking, I mean, that's something that's really gonna stand out to me come season start, is how these quarterbacks look in the pocket. But yeah, in all honesty, between C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young, it's hard for me to pick one over the other. I can't say that I would be mad with one over the other. But like I said, that's just me. That's just me. There was another article. There was an article on Panthers.com. I think they did another mock draft report, if I remember correctly. Yes, they did. Austin says, isn't New York colder than Wisconsin? I wouldn't know. The only time I've been to New York is to the airport. So I couldn't answer that question, to be honest with you. I mean, maybe, but I mean, I don't think it's so much the weather that Aaron Rodgers is really focused on. I mean, he wants to play for the Jets. I don't know specifically the reason, but he wants to play with the New York Jets. That's all I can really say. Mock draft 2023 mock draft report 4.0 from Panthers.com. So here's what they have on here this time, version 4.0. So they have, and just a FYI, this article was from March 20th, so from a couple of days ago, just a FYI. So Daniel Jeremiah is still going Bryce Young with the Panthers' #1 overall pick. Daniel Jeremiah says, the Panthers will do their homework on this year's top quarterback prospects over the next month, but I believe Bryce Young is the best of the bunch and will emerge as their target. So he's thinking Bryce Young. Todd Maffei is thinking Bryce Young as well. He says, I'm sticking with Young at #1. He's not only the top quarterback on my board, but also my top overall prospect. Young has elite pocket presence and poise. delivering strikes to every level of the field. And if the Panthers can figure out their receiver issues, I think this could be a really good fit with new coach Frank Reich. Carolina has to get this right after finishing 31st in the NFL in QBR, 27.6 last season, and then sacrificing all these assets to move up, and Young could be the answer. So Todd McShay is going Bryce Young. Chris Trapasso is actually going Anthony Richardson. He's going Anthony Richardson. He says, Andy Dalton acting as the bridge in Carolina to Anthony Richardson starting by November. Yes, sir. And that's all he had to say. Trevor Sakima is going C.J. Stroud. He says the Panthers will have their pick of the quarterbacks. Stroud seems to be trending toward the pick as he is the premier pocket passer who fits what head coach Frank Reich gravitates toward. Okay. Ben Standig is also going C.J. Stroud. He says, one second. He says, recency bias could be in play with the choice of Stroud over Bryce Young, as the two-time Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year rocked the combine with a wildly impressive passing display. There are also ongoing questions over whether teams are cool taking the 5'10" Young if they consider other quarterbacks equally viable. This decision won't come down to height, but rather the size of the decision makers' collective comfort with this massive decision. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. And then Brentley Weissman, he's going C.J. Stroud. And he says the Panthers made the big move of trading their number one pick in an attempt to finally secure a franchise quarterback for the first time under David Tepper. While rumor has it they have not decided on a specific player, signs are pointing to the team making C.J. Stroud the pick. Stroud is an accurate passer who will be a great distributor of the football and finally bring a level of stability to this team. Oh, Ken Blakely, welcome to the stream. He says, we're not getting Anthony Richardson. If we were still at number 9, I would say we would pick Anthony Richardson. David says, enough of the AR hate. Well, no, it's not hate. It's not hate. That's his opinion. That's his opinion, David. That's his opinion. He doesn't think the team is going Anthony Richardson. That's understandable. Austin says, before I go, you excited for the Stardom show tomorrow? You mean both Stardom shows? And if you're talking about the New Blood Premium and Cinderella tournament, it's actually Saturday and Sunday. Not Friday, but Saturday and Sunday. So, but yes, to answer your question, yes, I am looking forward to both of those shows. And I will have a preview video up sometime after I finish this live stream, Austin Jug. So be sure you check that out when it's up and comment. David says Anthony Richardson would have been gone by number 5. And David has a good point. He has a good point when you think about it, because let's also keep in mind the teams that are in the running for a quarterback. When you think about it, I mean, don't forget, you got the Texans, you got the Colts, you got the Raiders. I mean, those are 3 other teams that could go quarterback. So I really think that, to be honest, I think all 4 are going to be gone by the end of the first round. Maybe before reaching number 15, if you ask me, but I could be wrong. Ken says, no, AR is good, but we need that ready to start player like Young or CJ. And I do agree. We definitely need a ready to start player. Now, of course, if all goes wrong, we do have Andy Dalton. Like I said, he's not a favorite of mine, but he is a veteran. Now, like I said, just in past streams, my whole thing is it seems that a lot of everybody's favorites are C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young. I don't hear a whole lot of positive talk about Will Levis. And with Anthony Richardson, I hear positive talk, but I don't hear him being a worthy number 1 overall pick. That's the only thing with Anthony Richardson. Super Tribo says, wouldn't it be special if CJ Stroud ended up being like Patrick Mahomes or Russell Wilson in his prime? Knowing Panthers moved up to draft him, that would be awesome. It would be awesome. It would be awesome, you know? But I mean, we've had some form of success before. I mean, we did draft Cam Newton first round. He ended up going to a Super Bowl. Didn't win it, but he ended up winning the MVP. So, I mean, it's not like Carolina hasn't had some sort of success with going quarterback number 1. Hasn't happened in a while, but something to keep in mind. Something to keep in mind. But I definitely for sure think all 4 of those quarterbacks will be gone first round, probably by the time it reaches to pick 15. I mean, they'll probably be gone before it gets to pick 10. I mean, barring any sort of trade backs or anything like that, I think all 4 are probably going to be gone. So, because I mean, I think it's safe to say the first 2 are going to be gone between Carolina and Houston. So, I mean, that's 2 off the board right there. And then you got the Colts, you got the Raiders, and you even got, well, no, I'm not going to say the Falcons, but I think Colts and Raiders, I could see picking a quarterback as well. So, but yeah, Will Levis's pro day is tomorrow. Anthony Richardson's pro day is March 30th. That's next Wednesday. No. Is that next Wednesday? Yeah, next Wednesday. No, hold up. Let me look at my calendar. Next Thursday. So next Thursday. That is Anthony Richardson's pro day. So still got that to look forward to. Like I said, I'm not going to count anybody out. I'm still curious to see how Will Levis does and how Anthony Richardson does. I want to see what they can do. I want to see what they can do. There's also an article I came across on ESPN.com, and it's talking about the best team fits for unsigned players. I thought this was really interesting. So it starts off with Bobby Wagner, linebacker. They're saying potentially best fit, possible deal, a 1-year, $6 million deal with the Buffalo Bills. being that they lost Tremaine Edmonds. So Bobby Wagner to the Bills is what they have as a possible deal, like 1 year. Ken says Wagner is a good sign. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Next up is Teddy Bridgewater, quarterback. Possible deal? A 1 year, $5 million deal with the Baltimore Ravens. That would be kind of interesting. Austin says, oh, the show I was thinking about was in April, All-Star Dream Queendom. Oh, bro, that's not until April 23rd. Dude, we still got New Blood Premium coming up. That's going to be Waka's last match. We got the first round of the Cinderella tournament. Don't forget about those. Those are big. Those are big. Going to be crowning New Blood Tag Team Champions. Don't count those out, Austin. Those are two big shows. But yeah, Teddy Bridgewater, 1 year, $5 million to the Ravens as a possible deal. Well, I mean, he would pretty much be a backup, but I mean, I don't know. Teddy Bridgewater at Baltimore. I mean, he would be one heck of a backup to Lamar Jackson if they can keep him. So I mean, And then don't forget they have Anthony Brown and Tyler Huntley, which Tyler Huntley, I believe, was mainly backing up Lamar Jackson. So I don't know. Next up, running back Ezekiel Elliott. Now, word is that I think it was the Browns, the Browns, Bengals, and Jets or something like that. I think were three teams that could possibly get him. But the possible deal that they have here for Ezekiel Elliott, 1 year, $4 million with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So he could become a Buck. I mean, he will be splitting the backfield with Rachaad White. Because remember, they let go of Leonard Fournette. So, I don't know. Ezekiel Elliott leading the charge. Yeah, him as a Buck. Yeah, actually, it wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me, especially after they just let go of Leonard Fournette. Next up, cornerback Marcus Peters. 3-time Pro Bowler. But, he has dealt with some injury woes. I mean, he had a torn ACL in 2021. They're saying possible deal is a 1 year, $2.5 million deal to go to the Giants. I mean, that would be quite a playmaker for their team, though. Definitely quite a playmaker. Next up, offensive tackle Donovan Smith. Possible deal, 2 year, $13 million with the Indianapolis Colts. which, they're in the midst of working on pass protection for their next quarterback, of course, since, they're most definitely going to go quarterback in the draft, I would think. So, would make sense. Edge rusher Yannick Ngakwe. Possible deal, 2 years, $19 million with the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, it kind of makes sense. I mean, Frank Clark, they let go of him. Carlos Dunlap is a free agent. Chris Jones is entering the final year of his deal. Austin Jug says, oh, that's right. I hope she wins her last match. Dude, she ain't winning her last match. Against Kyrie and Nene, she's not winning that match. Ain't no way she's winning that match. But yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Chris Jones entering final year of his deal. Carlos Dunlap's a free agent. They let go of Frank Clark. So it makes sense. It makes sense why that could be a potential deal for him. Next, wide receiver DJ Chark. And interestingly enough, what they have listed as possible deal, 1 year, $8.5 million with the LA Chargers, which apparently it says that they need downfield speed in their offense. But to be fair, they're looking at him possibly could be a luxury, being that they have Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Joshua Palmer. So, But I hope that Carolina can get him. I mean, it sounded like Carolina was doing their best to get both Adam Thielen and DJ Chark. So we'll see how that goes. Next up, wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. Now, what they have for Odell Beckham Jr., possible deal, 1 year, $5.5 million with the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, he would be the third option after Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman. And they do have a different offensive coordinator this time because, they don't have Greg Roman offense. So there's that. Austin says, I don't know. She's working pretty hard. Austin, you gotta understand something. 2 things, Austin. Not to steer clear from the discussion, but 2 things, Austin. Number 1, the fact that her last match is a tag team match. So she's not going to even have a chance to do this on her own, which really decreases the value of her winning. It's a tag team match. She has Tam Nakano at her side. So it's not like she's going to be able to do it on her own, number 1. Number 2, you have to also remember, Austin, she has yet to win a single match in Stardom. And not only that, look at all who she's lost to. So she's lost to other rookies like, for example, Lady C, Mai Sakurai, Lady C 3 times. And that's singles matches. Lost to them, lost to Mai Sakurai, lost to Momokogo, lost to Rina, Hina. She's lost all of those matches And you expect me to believe that she's going to defeat two former World of Stardom champions in Kairi and Nanae Takahashi? I don't think so. I don't think so. Anyway, continuing. Next up, John Johnson III, safety. Possible deal, 2 years, $8 million with the Los Angeles Rams. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Which he is familiar with the organization. And he isn't past his prime. Fair enough. I'd say that's a fair assessment. Okay. Joe Valesco says, will you be okay the Panthers sign Leonard Floyd? I mean, I wouldn't hate the move. Ken Blakely says, I wanted to ask you, bro, who are you picking? To be honest, I'm okay with either C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. Like, it's really hard for me to pick one over the other. But either of those two, I would be, satisfied. So either of those two. Let's see. Next up, offensive guard Dalton Reisner. Possible deal for him, 3 years, $21 million with the Falcons, which they need, which it kind of makes sense because they need to upgrade their O-line. They do need to upgrade their O-line. So and apparently Reisner was ranked top 10 in run block win rate last season. So, interesting assessment there. Oh, y'all are going to like this one. Next up, wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. Well, here you go. Possible deal, traded to the Carolina Panthers. In this deal, the Panthers would send the number 93 selection to the Cardinals, who would pick up $10 million of Hopkins' $19.5 million base salary in 2023. Carolina would also guarantee Hopkins' $14.9 million salary for 2024, putting it on the hook for 2 years and $24.4 million. For the Panthers, this would lock in a number one receiver for the first 2 years of the new quarterback's career. They would sport a much older receiving corps than we see for most rookie quarterbacks. They would be starting Hopkins and Thielen week 1. But there's nothing wrong with locking in experienced receivers before working in cheaper options as the quarterback hopefully gets closer to earning an extension. Hopkins wouldn't get an extension, but he would get his 2024 salary guaranteed and have one more shot at free agency in 2025. This isn't a perfect deal for everyone involved, but he would get an additional year of guarantees. The Cardinals would unload salary and get a meaningful draft pick, and the Panthers would get 2 years of a wide receiver one at a cost well below market value. Well, shoot. Really? That's all it would take? Is this really a legit possible deal? So number 93, that's a third round. Yeah, that's a third round pick. Ken says D-Hop, I wish. Wait, that's a third round, not a... Yeah, that's a third round, not a second round. That's right. That's right. I mean, shoot. Well, with our current draft picks, if we gave up the third round, well, I mean, we would lose our third round pick. We would still have 2 fourth round picks. But I mean, you pretty much would seal up a wide receiver 1 with that pick. Depends on our cap. So apparently the word is the cap is about 29 million. That's what the word is, Ken. Cap is 29 million. So they currently have the second most cap space in the league with 28.1 million. Yeah, 28.1 million. Well, I mean, and then the word is with Carolina releasing Zane Gonzalez, that frees up 1,465,000, but that's probably what helped with the re-signing of Eddy Pineiro, though. So maybe. Maybe. Joe Valesco says, what do you think about Miles Jack? I mean, tackling machine for the most part. I mean, he's a tackling machine. I mean, some decent veteran experience, not a lot of sacks, only 3 interceptions. I mean, if anything, he's a tackling machine, Joe Valesco. I'll give him that. But aside from that, nothing really special. But yeah, I mean, the idea about DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, it's intriguing. It's intriguing. But the idea, give up the 93, the third round pick. Cardinals would pick up 10 million of the salary of the 19.5 million base salary in 2023. So okay, so making sure that I'm seeing this right. So Cardinals pick up 10 million. They would get our third round pick, plus they would pick up 10 million of the 19.5 million base salary for this year, which would mean Carolina would provide the $9.5 million and then the $14.9 million 2024 salary. Well, because we also have to remember, they still got to be able to pay their draft picks. So, I don't know. I mean, I like the idea. I'm not sure they could afford them. Because the only thing that I'm worried about is whoever we draft, we got to pay who we draft. We got to have money to pay who we draft. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I guess the real question is how much cap is usually left to sign the draft picks? I guess that's really what the ultimate question would be. Ken says we should go for it. I see it as a win. If it was a second round, I'd say no. We could also pick up a wide receiver in the 4th and an edge rusher in the 2nd if possible. So, I mean, we do have 2 4th-round picks. I mean, and your second question, that's the same question that I wonder. How much cap do we need for draft picks? That's a good question. I mean, I don't know typically. I mean, I don't know. I mean, so it seems like typically I don't know. Maybe at least 10 million. Maybe at least 10 million, perhaps. I don't know. That's a good question, though. Joe Valesco says DeAndre Hopkins said whatever team he gets traded to, he's going to help out and take a pay cut. Wait, he said that? Like, he legit said that? What? Well, shoot. If that's the case, I mean, shoot. But according to the recent update, the Bills, Patriots, Ravens, Raiders, and Falcons are the 5 teams in on DeAndre Hopkins. So, I don't know. At this point, I'll be very shocked if we end up getting him. I'll be very shocked. I'll be very shocked if we end up getting him. Because I know the whole thing with that is we would lose a 3rd round. Because here's the thing. If we give up that 3rd round pick, that means we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks in this draft. That's not a lot, y'all. That's not a lot of picks. So, I mean, right now we have 6. I mean, we give that up for them. and such, and down to 5 picks, that's not a lot of picks. That's not a lot of picks. So that's the only thing I'm worried about. That's the only thing that really worries me. I mean, maybe we would have the cap to handle DeAndre Hopkins, but I mean, bumping down to 5 picks in the draft, that's not a lot of picks. Ken says, I just looked it up. It is saying 12.7 mil we will need for cap space for our team. Oh, you mean like for the rookies or just in general? Because right now we have about 28 mil. Oh, for the rookies? Oh, okay. Well, I mean, if that's the case, that would leave about 13.5 mil left to spend. So I don't know. It would be nice. It would be nice, but I'm really worried about the cap and the fact that we would only have 5 picks. So we need those picks. We need those picks. Joe says, and we are going to have a quarterback rookie contract, which is true, but we need those picks though. 5 picks, that's not a lot. That's not a lot. So yeah, that's the only thing with that. I mean, they might be able to trade one up into a higher round, but we'll see. Ken says if we could get a good player like a Joshua Downs in the second, we won't need a D-Hop or even if DJ Chark signs, we'll be okay. That's one of the things that they were talking about is the idea of getting both Adam Thielen and DJ Chark. Which here's hoping they can pull that off. But we'll have to see what happens. Let's see. Next up, lastly, offensive tackle Jonah Williams. Possible deal, traded to the Jets. It will be a swap of tackles. Jets would send Mekhi Becton to the Bengals for Jonah Williams. Mekhi Becton really hasn't had a great. I mean, 2020 he was all right, but after 2020, Mekhi Becton just hasn't been the same. So, but yeah, those are the possible deals that as far as best team fits for unsigned players. But yeah, interesting article. It's on ESPN.com. Oh, here's something interesting. So there's an article about a proposed NFL rule that would spot a kickoff fair catch at the 25-yard line, even if it is made inside of that yardage marker in the field of play. There's a couple of different proposals. Committee also proposed moving the spot of a touchback on a punt from the 20-yard line to the 25-yard line, a way to incentivize punt returners to let a ball bounce into the end zone rather than trying to field it for a return first. I guess. Ooh. There was five proposals centered around replay. Ken says, that's weird. That probably won't pass. I don't think it will either. So the Detroit Lions submitted 3 in regards to around replay. One would allow coaches to challenge personal foul penalties. Another that would permit replay officials to consult on penalty enforcement instead of the more limited menu of plays they can currently assist on. And another that would give coaches a third challenge if they win one of their 2 initial challenges. The current rule requires them to win both in order to get a third challenge. Nah. Honestly, I think it should stay. Like, if you win both challenges, you get a third. I think that's fair. Winning 1 out of the 2, nah. I think you should have to win. I think you should have to win both in order to get a third. I think it should stay. As far as being able to challenge personal foul penalties, well, I mean, to be honest, there definitely have been some questionable personal foul calls in the NFL over the course of many, many seasons. Oh, Ken says, yes, we need to challenge penalties. Some of these penalties are silly. Yep. You're not wrong about that. You're not wrong about that. Ooh. So the Texans added a proposal that would give the replay official jurisdiction to review failed 4th down attempts. Interesting. Oh, this next one I definitely agree with. The Los Angeles Rams propose roughing the passer penalties to be reviewable and or challengeable by coaches. Yes. Because there have been some, Tom Brady, I'm talking to you. There have been some roughing the passer plays, especially on Tom Brady, that were bull crap. Yes, I shoot. To that idea. Ken agrees with me. Yes. Yeah. Because some of these roughing the passer penalty calls are ridiculous. I even think back to Cam Newton, who didn't get the roughing the passer penalty calls. Oh, man, it's ridiculous. I got a proposal. Get rid of the tuck rule. I'm sorry, but the tuck rule is one of the dumbest rules ever in the NFL. Thanks a lot, Tom Brady. Now that right there, that is the dumbest rule of all time, if you ask me. Where do you ranking Scott Fitterer? I think Scott Fitterer is doing a great job. I think he's doing a great job. I think he's been continuously active, and I think David Tepper is letting him do his thing. I say he's doing a great job. I can't really put a rank on it, but I think he's been doing a great job. I mean, the dude has had success in Seattle. Let the guy cook. Ken says Cam used to get destroyed, but Tom would get barely touched and flags start flying. Like, I get the sense behind protecting the quarterback more. I get it. But some of those calls are ridiculous. Some of those calls are ridiculous. Ooh, this is a weird proposal. This is from the Eagles. This is a really weird proposal. This is an alternative to an onside kick. It says the Eagles' proposal would allow a team to maintain possession after a score if it converts a 4th and 20 play from their own 20-yard line immediately afterwards. Previous attempts that have prescribed a 4th and 15 conversion have been voted down by owners. What? Maintain possession after a score if it converts a 4th and 20 play from their own 20-yard line immediately after? What? No. That's weird. No. Theodore Harris, welcome to the stream. Who are you going for, C.J. or Young? I'm okay with either. I can't say that I have a favorite between the two. I'm okay with either. Both look great. Both, I think, will be great. So I can't say I prefer one over the other. What about you, Theodore Harris? Do you have a preference? Because I'm okay with either. Man, that last proposal, that's weird. That's kind of weird. Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know about that. Theodore says yes for both. Oh, so you're okay with either? Okay. Hey, nothing wrong with that. So this Lamar Jackson situation is getting kind of interesting because apparently the NFL sent out a memo to all clubs that somebody who's not a certified by the NFL Players Association might be attempting to persuade team personnel to enter contract negotiations with Lamar Jackson. which would be a violation because under the league rules, teams can only speak with Lamar Jackson since he doesn't have an agent and is representing himself. Somebody trying to be sneaky. Theodore says, CJ looks more like the man from Kansas City, though. Patrick Mahomes? Yeah. Carolina Pride, welcome to the stream. CJ reminds me a lot of Joe Burrow. Oh, yeah? Like I said, I think they both had good pro days, Stroud and Bryce. Like I said, I think the main thing a lot of folks are saying with Bryce is, I mean, his height is one thing, but his weight. But I have to admit, he looked very confident and poised in the pocket, and he made great throws. CJ Stroud, same thing. Like I said, the only thing that I saw from CJ is a few of those deep balls, the wide receiver had to slow down to catch. Now, like I said, I don't know if that's so much on CJ or on the wide receiver, but there were a few of those deep balls where the receiver had to slow down in order to catch. Tom Brady was a skinny kid also. Yeah. Carolina Pride says, I think Bryce Young scrambling will lead to a lot more holding penalties. How so, actually? I'm kind of curious. That's an interesting point. How so? Can you elaborate a little bit more? I'm kind of curious. That's an interesting point. I mean, hopefully, both will be well protected and won't have to do a lot of scrambling. Hopefully. But we'll see. Tom wasn't 185. Well, he did say skinny kid. I take it he means specifically skinny kid, but all I know is because of Tom Brady, we have the freaking tuck rule, and I hate that rule. That is the dumbest rule ever in the NFL. Kentucky quarterback Will Levis is having dinner with the Panthers owners David and Nicole Tepper, Mr. Fitterer, Coach Wright, Dan Morgan, Samir Suleiman, Jim Caldwell, Thomas Brown, Josh McCown. Carolina Pride says, scrambling around in the backfield and the offensive tackle holding the defensive end to give him more time. I wonder how much of his scrambles are because of pressure or because he can't see over the line. Okay. That's an interesting breakdown. If anything, definitely we had a lot of issues with batted balls at the line of scrimmage, which I know, like I said, height, I know can be a factor. I mean, even when we had Baker Mayfield, like his balls were getting batted down. But no, that's an interesting point, Carolina Pride. That's a interesting point. Ken says, OMG, I don't want Will. I'd be a mad fan. To be honest, I don't think we're going to get him. I don't, but I am curious to see what he looks like on his pro day. I am curious. I'm curious. John Elite, welcome to the stream. Has there been an NFL player who's been traded to more than one team within the span of a week? They usually do it in the NBA. No, not off the top of my head. I don't think that's ever been a thing. No, I don't think that's ever been a thing in the NFL. No. David says, me either. I guess, okay, both Ken and David, like, give me some details. What exactly about Will Levis do y'all not like? I'm curious, and maybe I can learn from this as well. What exactly about Will Levis do y'all not like? I'm curious. Carolina Pride says, I went back and watched 5 CJ games, and he makes a ton of aggressive contestant window throws. The whole thing about his receivers being open all the time is just not true. Most throws have a cornerback in man. Those throws were always open in college. Will is an okay player, but he hasn't faced top-tier teams. Well, here's the thing. That might be the case, but I mean, at the end of the day, college versus the NFL. I mean, I don't know. That's the way I see it. Because I mean, regardless of what college you play for, you still got to play at your best level, you know. So I don't know. I just look at it like, regardless, it's still a big difference between college and the NFL. So I mean, who knows? I mean, where did Carson Wentz play? He was what North Dakota State or something like that. And at one point, he was in the running for MVP, and also had a chance. Well, if he would have stayed healthy, but I don't know. Every now and then, you have those occasional players from the not so well-known colleges. I mean, shoot, look at Josh Norman. I know he's not a quarterback, but I mean, successful cornerback that came out of coastal Carolina. I mean, that has to be a rare thing. Ken says, why go for a first pick? We could have kept DJ and still get Will. I'd be very salty. Well, here's the thing, though, Ken. Here's the thing. We have to remember the other teams that need a quarterback. Now you have to remember, we would still be at the number 9 position if we didn't do that. So now, if you're saying maybe trade up a little bit, not to 1, then sure. But we have to remember there's a handful of teams that need a quarterback. So even if we were to stay at 9, that does not guarantee we would have landed a quarterback. So that's the only thing. Carolina Price says, I have a question. How much does a run game help a quarterback? Oh, tremendously. Tremendously. But I think you need to have a balance of a run and the pass. But I don't expect all quarterbacks to be able to have that ability. Like, dual threats are nice, but they're not necessary. I mean, even if we had a pure pocket passer, I mean, look at Jake Delhomme. I was happy with what Jake Delhomme brought to the table for Carolina. And he was never a dual threat. So, I mean, but as far as, you know, a run game, it helps tremendously. But I think a good balance offense is the best. Ken says, yeah, like for Arizona for third. Okay, that's reasonable. That's reasonable, Ken, for sure. That's reasonable. Let's see. Theodore says, quarterback wins Super Bowl, not a wide receiver. You can find wide receiver anywhere. Well, that's a fair point, considering, look at the Chiefs. I mean, they didn't have exactly a super elite wide receiving core when they won the Super Bowl. I mean, heck, Carolina made it to a Super Bowl with a less than elite wide receiver core. So, hey, it's not impossible. Carolina Price says, so with that run game question, Bryce Young had one of the best running backs in the draft, but most people can't even tell me who the Ohio State running back was. So who really did more with less? I'm okay with both, but just thinking outside the box here. Well, you know what? Let's explore. Let's explore. Since you brought that up, let's explore. Okay, OSU, where you at? Big Ten. Here we go, Big Ten. So their top running back last season was Mayan Williams, who had 128 attempts, 825 yards rushing, 14 touchdowns. Okay. Bama. SEC. Of course, they had Jahmyr Gibbs, 151 attempts, 926 yards, 7 touchdowns. Well, it's an interesting comparison. Ken says Young did do more with less, but in 21, Young had Williamson the top receiver. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That is. Yeah, Jamison Williams. Yeah. That is a fair point. How many receiving yards did Gibbs have? Let's see. 44 catches, 444 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. And Mayan Williams, he didn't do much in the receiving game, but Mayan Williams was mainly lead rusher. And then to be fair, in 2020, well, this year they had Marvin Harrison Jr. 2021 they had, of course, Jackson Smith Jigba. So it's an interesting comparison. Carolina Pride says, so Gibbs had almost double the total yards as Ohio State's running back. Just food for thought. That's a nice breakdown and a good question. Ken says, I gotta head out, bro, but I love being on your podcast, my dude. Have a good evening. Keep pounding. Ken, thank you for joining. Keep pounding. Get you some rest. We'll see you next time. But yeah, Carolina Pride, that's a good breakdown. That's a good breakdown. But man, just looking at both these players, and C.J. Stroud, well, they both did a little something in the running game. Well, Bryce did a little bit more, but not by a whole lot. So, I mean, but it'll definitely be interesting to see how both of these guys fare. CJ's coaching restricted CJ from running a lot, which is not a bad thing. Which is not so much a bad thing. I'm okay with that. Carolina Pride says, only reason I bring that up is because Young is only 2 or 3% better in the short game and had the best running back in the SEC, and CJ didn't. Which is true. That's fair point. Fair point. I mean, it's close, and like you said, Young had the better running back. CJ didn't. So no, that's a fair point. That is a fair point. But anyways, let's see. But no, that was a good question. Good question. Theodore says, Panthers, we going to be a different team this year. Oh, I believe it. Oh, I definitely believe it. I definitely believe it. Joe Velasco says, will you sign Shaquille Griffith? I mean, didn't he deal with some injury? Didn't he deal with some injury woes? He dealt with some injury woes, didn't he? Not to mention he was on a $44 million deal. He might be a little on the pricey side there, Joe Valesco. David says, I'll be happy with Bryce, just worried about his shoulder. What does he have, a lingering shoulder issue? Carolina Pride says, here's another brain teaser for you. We currently have $29 million in cap space, and we need $10 million left for rookies. So that leaves us with $19 million. Who has a $19 million cap hit that we could get? Shoot. That's a good question. Yeah. Vietnam says, what's up, Blitz? Hey, good to see you. It's not like I dislike Levis. It's just that I don't think we should have traded up to first overall to draft him. Okay, so Vietnam, so pretty much, I guess like Anthony Richardson, you don't see Levis or Richardson as being worthy of the number one overall pick. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Carolina Pride says D-Hop. So yeah, we were actually talking about D-Hop. My only issue, Carolina Pride, is we would be giving up a third round pick, which would leave us with only 5 picks. That's not a lot of picks. That's not a lot of picks. Thankfully, he is willing to take a pay cut. Cardinals would take up some of the salary and whatnot, but giving up that third pick, that's. I mean, yeah, we only had 5 picks last year, but it's like, I mean, do we want to repeat that though? I mean, we still got needs to fill. Like, I don't know. Like, not to mention, unfortunately, they weren't one of the 5 teams that were mentioned about who has D-Hop on the radar. It was the Bills, Patriots, Ravens, Raiders, Falcons. I would be shocked if we pull it off. I would be really shocked, but just, I don't know, with the situation this time around compared to last time around, I don't know if I'd be okay with just 5 picks. But that's just me. I hope I'm wrong, but it just seems a little too small. Just a little bit. David says he hurt his shoulder in college. Don't know why nobody brings this up. David, how long ago was that, though? How long ago was that? Theodore said, I just love how we pick up the tight end. Yeah, got Hayden Hurst, which Hayden Hurst isn't a ginormous upgrade, but it is an upgrade. It is an upgrade. Jack Starippa, welcome to the stream. SEC is more competitive than the Big Ten. If OSU played the teams Bama played, they would have less wins. Fair point. Fair point. I hear you about the SEC, but outside of Bama and Georgia, what SEC teams are consistently good? And how many teams in the college playoffs were from the SEC? Actually, let's recap. SEC. I should know this off the top of my head, but SEC, Crimson Tide, the Razorbacks, Arkansas, yeah, Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Georgia. I mean, isn't Georgia usually up there? Wait, isn't typically Alabama, Florida, Auburn, Georgia, LSU, occasionally South Carolina? Aren't they usually consistently good? You'll have to excuse my ignorance. College football isn't my strong suit. I'm more of a pro guy, so y'all have to pardon my ignorance. But yeah, if I remember correctly, typically Alabama, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, LSU kind of stand out to me as consistently good teams. Maybe occasionally the South Carolina, maybe Mizzo. Well, oh, never mind. Mizzo was fourth in the SEC. Never mind. Well, shoot. Well, that's well. Point well made. Point well made. Point well made. But I definitely get what everybody is saying. The idea moving up to the first round to hit a home run with the first overall pick. I agree, and that's really how it should be. But I was originally convinced that they moved up to the number one overall pick because they knew exactly who they were going for. But looking at these pro days and what a lot of folks are saying about these quarterbacks, I guess it's not as easy. And I guess that's why a lot of folks are narrowing it down to Stroud and Young. David says Young suffered a sprain to the AC joint in his shoulder during Alabama's 49-26 road win over Arkansas 2 weeks ago. Wait, that happened 2 weeks ago? I thought college football season been ended. That happened 2 weeks ago? He attempted to throw while falling to the ground and landed awkwardly with his right arm extended. Though he initially returned to the field on the next drive, Young went into the injury tent after an incomplete third down pass before heading into the locker room. Despite returning to the sidelines and pads at the start of the third quarter, he didn't return to the game. This was October 22nd of 2022. Well, I mean, October 15th, 2022? Well, I mean, David, here's the thing. That may be a concern, but I mean, if you ask me, I think he looked fine out there throwing. Now, of course, as far as taking a hit and whatnot remains to be seen. But, I mean, regardless of who we pick, it's going to be a risk. I mean, we have to also remember this is somebody that won the Heisman Trophy. So, I mean, Carolina Pride says, I look at it like this. Young and Stroud are neck and neck. But Young is what Young is great with, processing and mobile in the pocket. But Stroud is just as good and still has room to grow. Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good point. And it's like I said before, I really feel like I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be close. Oh, snap. According to Albert Breer, the Chiefs are interested. Excuse me. The Chiefs. Sorry, I dropped this. The Chiefs are interested in acquiring both DeAndre Hopkins and Odell Beckham. I'm going to tell y'all right now. If the Chiefs get both DeAndre Hopkins and Odell Beckham with freaking Patrick Mahomes throwing to them, I don't even want to imagine that. You know what? I don't even want to imagine that. No. I don't even want to imagine that. And Travis Kelce? I don't know. No. I don't even want to imagine that. Jax the Ripper said he was sacked 39 times. Young can take a hit. Fair enough. I mean, 39 times, that's a handful, but nah, I mean, when it comes down to it, I think both will do well. I mean, lots say it will depend on the teams. And, as long as he's protected, I mean, Carolina Panthers had a good offensive line last season. Got dinged up near the end, but made a few signings, insurance policy signings. Hopefully when Brady Christensen and Austin Corbett will be ready for week 1. Here's hoping. So there's that. And we got Justin McCray for insurance. So, I think we'll still have a solid O-line. And they may pick up somebody in the draft as well. They could do that for a little bit more depth. Carolina Price says he was sacked 39 times doesn't mean he was hit 39 times. How many of those sacks did he just go down? That is a good point. But I mean, oh my God, that would be scary. I mean, Chiefs already have Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney. They would add both DeAndre Hopkins and Odell Beckham Jr. Oh man. Along with Travis Kelce that they have. Oh man, that would be a nasty. I mean, y'all saw they won the Super Bowl previously and didn't have ginormous names like that. If they had those names on there, shoot. That would be a nasty offense. Oh man, that would be nasty. Ugh. I'm sorry, that's scary. But I don't know about y'all, but that's scary. But we'll see what happens, though. Oh, interesting comment from Vietnam. He says, getting sacked and or hit in the NFL is nothing like getting hit in college. Young's frame is slight, and a full force hit by a 28-year-old defensive end or linebacker could be devastating to his career. Just look at Tua. Well, I don't know. Like, that's a fair point, Vietnam, but let me tell you, I've seen some pretty devastating hits in college football. Like, a good free release. Those can be just as devastating in college. A free release, like, out the peripherals. Man. But no, that's a fair point. Tua's been taking a beating. Tua has definitely been taking a beating with the Dolphins. He's great when he can play, but he's taken a beating with the Dolphins. So that is a good example. David says, wanted to apologize earlier about that Anthony Richardson hate. I just feel like nobody in the Panther fan base wants to give him a chance. It's always been Bryce and C.J. AR never gets brought up hardly. Well, here's the thing, though. I don't think it's so much that it's Anthony Richardson hate. It's just, here's the thing you got to realize, David. We have the number 1 overall pick. We can't afford less than the best. We really cannot afford, being how our quarterback situation has been, we cannot afford to settle for less than the best. We cannot afford to hit a foul ball with this quarterback situation. And if it means that a lot of the talks are AR ain't the best, I'm just saying, like, we've had this quarterback struggle situation for far too long. So I hope things work out with him. But here's the thing. A lot of folks are saying he may not be ready day one or is a prospect compared to the others, which is not a bad thing, but you got to look at the Panthers franchise situation. You know, I would love to see him ball out with us. But right now, the Panthers are in, we need to fix the quarterback situation 100%. We can't go halfway about it. We can't dibble dabble with this. We need to hit a grand slam. No foul balls, no home runs. We need to hit a grand slam with this quarterback situation. So that's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. Let me get caught up. Phenom says Kyler can't stay healthy either, and those guys are a little bigger than Young. Stroud should be the pick, hands down. The only reason that I don't want AR-15 is because we traded up to number 1. You do not give away so much for a project quarterback. True. And that's what a lot of people are saying, so that's understandable. David says, I want CJ or AR, which is fine, which is totally fine. Totally fine. Carolina Pride says, my thing with Richardson is by the time he is ready to play, all of your free agent contracts are done. We would be seeing Dalton for the next 2 years. Yeah, well, that is a fair point, especially if he's being listed as not day one ready. Then, I mean, that's really what it would have to be. Phenom says, if the Panthers brass do pick AR-15 or Levis, will be the laughing stock of national media for years to come. They had better hope that it works out or the gallows this staff goes. Yeah. David says he's going to get drafted first round pick 4 to the Colts. Possibly. Carolina Pride says, I have a Cam Newton jersey. I don't need another one. We have never had an extremely accurate passer. We need that. Yeah. And that's one thing that folks got to remember. Now, I'll say once again, yes, Cam Newton has an MVP, something that the Carolina Panthers have never had on their team before. Won it as a Carolina Panther. But the thing that I point out the most is despite accuracy never being a strong suit for Cam Newton, yet he's still won MVP. And that's the main thing that I try to point out. Yes, a lot of people say inaccurate, inaccurate, inaccurate. Well, that's never been his strong suit, and he still won the MVP. So, just something to think about. David says, I want CJ, but AR would be okay with me. I know his potential, in my opinion. AR isn't a project quarterback, but, well, that's what a lot of the analysts are saying. And, they could be wrong. They could be wrong, but that's the vibe a lot of folks are getting. But Phantom, you do make a point. I mean, we haven't really ever had an accurate passer. I mean, I don't know if folks will argue Jake Delhomme, but that's a fair point. That is a fair point. But the only thing I just want folks to remember is Cam didn't fall apart until he got hurt, until he took that hit. Because remember, Cam was also in the MVP discussion until he took that hit. So that's the only thing. That's the only thing. Phantom says, I'm tired of not having a quarterback who can throw the ball accurately, and AR-15 is not accurate. Can it be taught? Maybe so, but it would take years. Cam never learned to be accurate, and look where he's at. But Phantom, even with that, he still won an MVP and played in a Super Bowl and was in the discussion for another MVP. Like, we have to remember that things didn't start falling apart for Cam until he got hurt. Like, that's really my ultimate point when it comes to Cam. It didn't fall apart for him until the hit. We were 6-2 until that game. Now afterwards, was he a shell of his former self? Absolutely. Absolutely. David says, with these coaches, they could help AR with short passes. I mean, coaching can definitely go a long way. We don't want to underestimate the value and level one can be achieved through coaching, for sure. Let's see. David, fourth overall is okay for AR-15, but not first, which is understandable. I do agree with Vietnam on that. CJ or Young would be the best. But CJ looks like a day one leader. Fair point. Carolina Price says, being objective here, Cam was on a 15-1 season with number 2 defense in the league, and the MVP is a quarterback award. Don't forget the defense won a bunch of those games last season. Absolutely. Defense. I mean, Thieves Avenue. Everybody remembers Thieves Avenue. Killer elite defense, for sure. Absolutely. I would never take that away. And that's a big thing. That was also a big help. But what really stood out, as well as the defense, you got to also remember our best receiver went down in the preseason, and the team had mid-name receivers, and the offense was cooking. I mean, 35 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. I mean, come on now. Like, that's pretty impressive. Not only that, like I said before, had a offensive coordinator change, which did help his completion percentage. Not a whole lot of downfield deep balls, which I will admit, not a whole lot of downfield deep balls. But like I said, at the same time, Cam was in the discussion, and the Panthers were cooking on a 6-2 record until he got hurt. My overall point is you can't convince me that he would have. Hold on, let me make sure I get my words right. I just don't think y'all can convince me that he would continuously fall apart even if he stayed healthy. Nah, I can't believe that. Now, they should have done better by him by not letting him play through that. But I truly believe things could have been different if it wasn't for him getting hurt. I truly believe that. I truly believe that. It's like when Jon Snow told Queen of the Dragons, we get AR, we're nothing different, more of the same. I've actually never watched Game of Thrones, so I'll just take your word for it, Carolina Pride. I've never seen that. Phantom says he won it because of our record and his rushing stat / touchdowns. Vietnam, don't forget about the 35 passing touchdowns to the 10 interceptions. Come on now. Give the man his credit. Give the man his credit due. Not to mention, after that season, much later, there is a reason that he was in the MVP discussion until he got hurt. Remember when we were 6-2? I'm not just basing this off of one season. Now, come on now. We're talking about something that nobody in the whole entire franchise has never done before. Yes, he is a shell of his former self, but let's give credit where credit's due. How many run-first quarterbacks have won a Super Bowl? Dan Marino's never won a Super Bowl. No, we're not going to do that. Because there have been plenty of non-running quarterbacks that haven't won a Super Bowl either. Nope. Nope. Plenty of non-running quarterbacks that have never won a Super Bowl either. I'm just saying. Let me see something. I mean, shoot. Here's another example. Boomer Esiason. He's another example and a former MVP. Not a running quarterback. Never won a championship. All right, David. Don't let it get to you, David. You have to remember, this is everybody has different opinions, you know. Steve Young maybe, but he could throw. Same thing with Elway. Doug Peterson from Washington won a Super Bowl, but I didn't know if he was a run first. I don't think so. I don't think he was. I'll take your word for it, Phantom, because I actually don't even know. To be honest with you. I will agree. Is the MVP a quarterback friendly award? Yeah, I will agree with that. Definitely will agree with that. For sure. Yeah, that I will definitely agree with. We should all just agree to only talk about the 39th pick for our own sanity. I mean, I'm open. I'm open. My whole thing is just a lot of let me rephrase that. A good amount of our success that we last had with the Carolina Panthers was when Cam Newton was still here. And that's a fact. So, I mean, yeah, we could say Christian McCaffrey was like our last best offensive piece, but what did we do? We ran him into the ground. And that's so sad because Christian McCaffrey wanted to stay a Carolina Panther, and we ran that man into the ground. It's sad. We could have treated him a lot better. Rest well, David. Rest well. Randall Cunningham when he came back into the league. Oh, my brother's a big fan of Randall Cunningham, but then again, he is an Eagles fan. Okay, Blitz, I'll give you that. You make a good point. Yeah, like, I mean, and the thing is, Carolina Pride made a great point about the defense. We had a great, phenomenal defense to complement our offense. I think a big thing is if Cam had some overall legit weapons, things I think definitely would have helped. But it didn't pan out that way. It didn't pan out that way. It's unfortunate. We don't know the scheme, so it's hard to tell who will fit best. I want whoever will get us to the dance and stack wins. Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's what I want as well. That is what I want as well. Like, I know it was said earlier about Cam Newton going to Auburn and having, his own pro day and throwing balls and everything like that. And that's cool and all, but like I said, my whole thing with that is we don't need to bring him back for a third time around. That's like, no. Hey, third time's a charm. No. I mean, you want to talk about desperation? That's like desperation times a million. So, oh yeah, Dan Marino was definitely a pass first. Definitely. And he was great at what he did, but can never win the big one. Jim Kelly, great at what he did, but could never win the big one. Boomer Esiason couldn't win the big one. It's unfortunate, and I hate to say it, but there's a handful of these quarterbacks that are pass first, still never won the big one, unfortunately. Sucks, but that's the only thing. I want to win also, but I want to be entertained. If I'm paying my money, I don't want to see a 12 to 14 game. I want to see a 42 to 24 high flying passing offense. Well, here's the thing. I want wins. Because here's the thing, Vietnam. Yeah, some of those games are, I'm hoping a good amount of those games will be like the 42 to 24. But let's be honest. There are going to be some closer games. There are going to be some high scoring closer games. This ain't Madden. There will be teams that will figure us out. Now, how we adjust is how we counter that. That's really what the key for that is. How we adjust and counter to that. That's what makes us win. Consistently win. I want us to draft a speedy deep threat for the slot at 39. Who do y'all want? To be honest with you, I mean, Jalen Hyatt, I would be down with. And there's been a lot of folks talking up, what's his face? Josh Downs. But, I also would not be against the idea of Will McDonald at edge. I wouldn't be against that idea, but if I had to pick one, Jalen Hyatt, probably. Jax the Ripper makes a good point. Terrace Marshall runs a 4.3. Not only that, he's tall. And I think this is an opportunity for Terrace Marshall to really evolve. And I think the only thing with him is just has to stay healthy because the dude can make big plays. He can make some killer catches. He just needs more opportunities. I'm not going to sleep on Terrace Marshall. So, But yeah, that's what I'm hopeful for. Well, Vietnam, to go along with your point, one of the weaknesses that they had listed for Terrace Marshall, excellent time speed, but doesn't always play fast. That's what they had listed as the weakness. Excellent time speed, but doesn't always play fast. Carolina Pride says, honestly, Thielen is our slot. If it's me, I'm drafting a cornerback at 39, Emmanuel Forbes or Julius Brent, and taking Jonathan Mingo at 93. Due to 6'2", 220, ran a 4.46, and can run routes extremely well. Jonathan Mingo. Trying to find where he's. You said a third rounder? Here, let me. Oh, Jonathan Mingo. Said Mingo. Jonathan Mingo. Ole Miss. 51 catches, 861 yards, 5 touchdowns. 6'2", 225. Okay. Dang. Reminds you of A.J. Brown, but with better route running. Oh, interesting. Right on. Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback out of Mississippi, 46 tackles, 10 passes deflected, 6 interceptions. Ooh, dang. Okay. 6'1", 166. Wow. Okay. Dang. Julius Brent. I think that was the other guy you said. Julius Brent. 6'3", 198 pounds, out of Kansas State. 45 tackles, 4 passes deflected, 4 interceptions, and a forced fumble. Dang. Ooh. Let's see. Vietnam says, you remember those Drew Brees teams or those Brady teams that passed the ball around and scored lots of points? Peyton Manning had some high scoring teams as well. That's what I want for us. I mean, that would be nice. My whole thing is being able to have that and win, and even being able to have, a little less than that and still win, I'm going to take both because both equal. If both equal wins, I'm okay with either. I mean, of course, high scoring gives us a better chance. So I'm definitely never gonna look down on that. I'm just saying, this is still the NFL. Like, there's a reason why every team hasn't been able to do that. And to be fair, I mean, I know Drew Brees is in a lot of discussions with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. You know, same thing with Aaron Rodgers. But it does make me kind of wonder. Tom Brady's 7 championships to Aaron Rodgers 1, Drew Brees' 1, Peyton Manning's 2. Why do the others not have more or just as much? You know, just wanted to throw that in there. Just wanted to throw that in there to stir the pot a little bit. Emmanuel Forbes has Sauce Gardner type of man coverage skills, best in the nation at man coverage. Indeed. It looks like it. I mean, all the passes deflected, shoot. That's a lot. That is a lot, for sure. And not only that, shoot. Nowadays, some days, it's pretty difficult. But main thing is, got to play well on both sides of the ball. If we play as great on both sides of the ball, we will be just fine. We got to be a complete football team. Complete football team wins as many games as possible. You complete me. I think we will still get DJ Chark. Here's hoping. Here's hoping. I hope we do. Would be nice if we did. I tell you what, though, being almost near the last spot in offensive production, especially through the air, definitely is not going to help our case, that's for sure. So if that's one thing we need to turn around instantly, we need to turn that around instantly. Yeah, we need to really turn that around instantly, or else we can forget about any high scoring offense. Shoot. That we definitely need to turn around. Carolina Pride says, if Nolan Smith would fall to 39, I would sprint to get that pick. Yeah, I actually think that would be a good pick as well. Edge rush out of Georgia? Yeah. Yeah. That could definitely work out. Tyrone Best, welcome to the stream. Who do you want? I'm okay with C.J. or Bryce. Either of those two would be my top pick. Either of those two. I mean, hey, we gotta go for broke. Number 1 pick, gotta go for broke, right? Gotta aim and shoot for the best, right? But if it was up to me, either of those two. But it sounds like the favorite is C.J. Stroud. Sounds like the favorite. So, hey, C.J. Stroud. But yeah, I think either of those two, and we're cooking with gas. Either of those two, we're cooking with gas. But they had incredible pro days, that's for sure. Both of them. They had incredible pro days. Will Levis will be tomorrow. Well, technically today, since it's after 1 a.m. So Will Levis is coming up. Anthony Richardson's will be on March 30th, which is next Thursday. So got a lot to look forward to with those two. And I know as we get ready to enter into April, I definitely want to run through a mock draft of my own. Because, draft is not until the 27th of April. So we still got a little over a month, which I definitely want to live stream at least the first round. I know last year my dad was on. I might also, I need to sync back up with Mr. Carolina, see if he wants to join. Yeah. So, just food for thought. Food for thought. What was I going to say? But that is pretty much all that I have for tonight. But yeah, like I said, I definitely would, going back to the signings, like I said, Henry Anderson, some more depth on the D line now that we're switching to a 3-4. Justin McCray, some insurance, being that Austin Corbett, Brady Christensen are still healing up. Hopefully they'll be good week 1. So we're letting go of Zane Gonzalez and bringing back Eddy Pineiro. Kind of surprised, but then again, Pineiro did finish strong with the Carolina Panthers after the meltdown in the first game against the Falcons last season. So I can kind of understand bringing him back, rolling with him. Zane Gonzalez was a bummer. Couldn't stay healthy, got hurt, but when he played, he was automatic. So that's the only thing that sucks about it. But I think overall, the moves have been great. The adding on more to the coaching staff has been cool. Like, we got to give Carolina credit. They've been making some incredible moves. I can understand not a lot of people think the free agency moves were like S-tier class, but I do believe they were good moves. Scott Fitterer has been doing a good job. The coaching staff that's been built, excellent. Many players restructuring contracts to help with the cap situation, so that's helped out. And 28, 29 million in cap right now. What do you think they'll do next? We shall see. But gotta say, I've been happy with the moves that Carolina's been doing. I think things are going to really start to turn around for sure. Now we just got to hit the money with this draft, which I think we will, especially with that number 1 pick. I think we will. So keep pounding, have faith. We're going to get through this, y'all. There's been a lot of buzz this offseason, but it's been a lot of good buzz. So stay positive. Stay positive. The right things are being done to help steer the ship around. We just got to stay strong and see it through. Stay strong, see it through. All righty? I want to thank everybody for coming through, chatting it up, sharing their thoughts and opinions, and Great discussions tonight. Got a lot to look forward to, but I'm about to get myself some rest. Once again, don't forget to check out the link in the description for Game Beauty, as well as the other links that I posted that we referenced tonight with the signings and such. Be sure to check those out. And for those that will catch this archive later, let me know what y'all's thoughts are. What do you think about the signings so far? What do you think about the pro days that have happened for C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young? Who are you liking? Are you looking forward to Will Levis's pro day coming up? Anthony Richardson's pro day? Let me know what your thoughts are. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Thank you so much for watching. For another Carolina Panthers Talk live stream brought to you by Blitzball Champ Gaming here on the U to the Tube. I'm your host, Blitzball Champ Jason Ingram. I hope everybody has a blessed day tomorrow, a blessed weekend. That's right, it's Friday. And I will see y'all in the next video and or live stream. God bless. Peace out. Love y'all.